Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another. We still haven't gotten a name for this, so I guess I'm just going to call it another episode of Math with Audrey. That's what we're doing. So, hopefully, you guys are doing all right. So far, my day is feeling pretty good. So, if anything, hello, Hannah. How are you? So, today we're going to be doing solving two steps. We did a little bit of that yesterday, and multi step. Has she lost her mind? Pretty much. So, we're actually going to walk ourselves through this. So, what we did, and actually, I'm just going to shoot right into it. And you're probably like, what? No warm up? We're just going to go straight to it, huh? Yes, we are. So I have 2x plus 3 is equal to 11. So when we have our equal sign, so that means I definitely have to solve to figure out what value of x is going to make this equation a true statement. That's the reason why we do these equations. So we always have to work on what was called the inverse. So I'm going to put it right over here, my inverse. So inverse, if you want to think of them, are opposites. So my inverse, so we have addition. The inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of multiplication is division, and vice versa. So I'm going to put my arrowheads on both sides. So addition is subtraction, subtraction is addition. Multiplication, the inverse of multiplication is division, and division, the inverse of division is multiplication. So the key thing is we want to isolate the variable. So isolation, get it by itself. If we can get that variable by itself, we are golden. So right now, that 2x, or the x is with the 2, so it's going to stay with the 2. Think about a relationship. There's 2 and your boo. So y'all together. Here comes plus 3. Plus 3 is trying to wreck this relationship. So what do we need to do? We need to remove them from the situation. So we got to do the opposite of what's attracting them to you. Think of it. So since I see a plus 3, I have to do the inverse. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 3. I feel like I'm sharing like personal information. Like, get that person out of your life. Because positive 3 minus 3, that gives me a 0. I don't have to put the 0 down because 0 is a placeholder. But what I do need to bring down is my 2x. And I'm also going to bring down my equals. So now I have 11 minus 3. So I have $11. I want to spend $3. That means I have $8 left. So now, here we are in this situation. We have 2x is equal to 8. But you want to be by yourself, right? 2, messing up, right? They're just doing too much. So what do you have to do? You need to divide them out of your life. Because if you look in between the 2 and the x, there isn't a plus sign or a minus sign. So that means 2x means 2 times x. And the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. And when we do that, my 2 divided by 2 gives me 1x. Now remember, we talked about this before. But if you don't, I'm going to say it again. I could put the 1x there. But it's also assumed that 1x is the same as saying x. These mean the same things. When you don't see a number in front of the x, it's always assumed to be a 1. But now over here, we have 8 divided by 2. So 8 divided by 2, that will give me 4. So you can either leave your x equals 4, or 1x equals 4, or you can say x is equal to 4. Majority of the time in math, you're going to see this as your final answer. But I'm going to box both of them because it is making a true statement. So we're saying that if I take this answer of 4 and I go ahead and plug it in for x up here in my original equation, I should get a true statement. Because 4 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11, which that's what it equals. So that means that 4 does make this equation into a true statement. The reason why we call this a two-step equation is because I did my subtraction here, that's 1 step. Then I did my division here, that's 2 steps to get my answer. So let's try another one. Let's see. Let's make it a little challenging. You're probably like, girl, that was challenging enough. But that relationship thing kind of helps me figure it out. So if I said, let's go this one. So if I say 5x minus 4 is equal to 21. Let me bring that over. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming in. So we have 5x minus 4 is equal to 21. So just like I mentioned, the equal sign is what we're basically finding as the even point. We need to balance things out. But our goal is to isolate this variable, this x. So we have 5x minus 4 is equal to 21. So right now, this 5x, that's you and your boo. You want people to leave you alone. That is your relationship. So now we need to get rid of this minus 4. They're trying to bring their negativity in there. So what we got to do? We got to do the opposite. So the opposite of minus 4. So if I go back over to my inverses, if I'm subtracting, the inverse means I'm going to add. So if I come over, I'm going to add 4 on both sides. You ever hear the words, kill them with kindness? That's what we're doing. So negative 4, we're going to give them some positivity to get them out of our relationship. Let you go on to someone else's. So now you got 21 plus 4, which gives me 25. Bring down my equals. Now what's left over here on the left-hand side is my 5x. So that 5x is going to come on down. So now your boo's messing up. You want to be by yourself. You want to be independent. So what we have to do, if it's multiplication, do the inverse, which is division. So we need to divide everything by the number we're trying to get rid of, which is the 5, because we want our x to be by itself. So when we divide by 5, 5 divided by 5 will give me 1x, or I could just simply say x. Bring down the equals. Now, 25 divided by 5, that will give me 5. So we're saying that x is equal to 5. So that means if I plug this 5 back into the original equation, I should get a true statement. So 5 times 5 gives me 25. 25 minus 4 does give me 21. So you found the missing piece to that equation, right? So this is how you're doing two-step equations. First you had to add the 4, that's 1 step. Then you divide the 5, that's 2 step. All right, so now let me juice it up just a little bit. So let me take it away from the norm. So I want negative 16 is equal to 4x minus 12. Ooh. Oh, she's trying to be spicy. She's trying to do some extra spicy stuff. What is this, y'all? So, if you have an idea, remember, do not be shy. Go ahead and tap the screen if you would love to tap to share some love. You can share the live, especially if you know someone that's going to need some assistance. Maybe they're GED, maybe they're trying to get into the military with the ASVAB. Maybe they just need a little bit of assistance. Go ahead and share love. Don't be shy. All right? So now, let me raise up just a hair. So I'm going to try to raise it that you can see the new problem, but then you can use the older problems as a guide. So I would love for you guys to interact. Go ahead and put some answers into the chat once you get there. Or if you have any questions, put that into the chat as well. So now we have negative 16 is equal to 4x minus 12. This looks a little different compared to the other two equations that we just did. But you're doing the same process. All right? So if anything, we still want to isolate our variable. And I know when people are in school, they always say, hey, you definitely want to keep your x's on the left-hand side. It doesn't matter, to be honest with you. As long as x is by itself, you did your job. So now, we're over in this club. So this is you and your boo with the 4x. We're inside this lovely club. You're just having fun. And then here comes negative 12 trying to interrupt it, right? Oh, you look so cute in that outfit. Yeah. So what you need to do is take this negative 12 and get them out. So in order to do that, we have to do the inverse. Now, if I slide over, you can see that the inverse of minus is plus. So we need to add. You know how I always say positivity usually kind of throws people off. So you're being positive so you can scare off negative 12 to have them go to the other side. So negative 12 plus 12, that will give me 0. I don't have to write the 0 because I still have the 4x that's on that side. So I'm going to bring down my 4x. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. So now we have negative 16 plus 12. Hey, how are you? So if anything, when the signs are different, and this is one thing a lot of people always have to memorize about integers, but think about it. All right. If you owe me $16 and you paid me $12, do you still owe me money? Yeah. So this will be a negative. But how much do you owe me? So you're taking $12 away from the $16 that you owe me, but you still owe me $4. So negative 16 plus 12 gives me a negative 4. If you think of it like money, you'll be able to get it done a lot quicker. But we want to get x by itself. So, oh no, you and your boo get to fight. We need to get out. So 4x is multiplication. So the opposite or the inverse of multiplication is division. So we need to divide this person out of our lives. So dividing the 4 out of our lives. So 4 divided by 4 will give me 1 or just x. It's not going to be 0. Okay, we're not subtracting, we're dividing. But x equals. Now we have a negative divided by a positive. When the signs are opposite when you're dealing with multiplying or dividing, you always get a negative answer. Now you just have to divide. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. So the missing number is negative 1. And you're probably saying, well, Audrey, the x is on the other side. And remember, I told you, it doesn't matter what side the x is on. The x could be on the right side, the x could be on the left side. And I think a lot of teachers, especially here in the States, we like to have the variable on the left-hand side because we read from left to right. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter as long as our x is isolated. You did your job. All right? Quote me on it. Go ahead. So, I know how life lessons can actually help you solve math problems. Look at that. Right? We understand dating and relationships. We understand when someone screws us over and we just want to get them out of our lives and be independent and be by ourselves. Same thing happens with math. All right? So, hey, Crystal, how are you? I'm sorry. I know there's people coming in and coming out. Hey, Nicole, thank you so much for the follow. So, this is what you're doing. And this is also considered a two-step. So you're probably saying, all right, Audrey, I think I got the two-step, but can we do it just one more time? Of course we can. So let's see. I'm going to try to do another one that's going to make it look a little obscure, but nothing too crazy. So let me slide this over just a hair. So we have 22 is equal to 3x minus 5. I just didn't want it to go too far off the page. So 22 equals 3x minus 5. So we know the situation. Okay, here we are. We're in the club. We are inside. We went out. We're ready to party. It's you and your boo. Okay, so you are the x. Your boo is the 3. Now, here they come. They always like that in the club. They always get there. So here we have this negative person that's trying to mess things up with us. So what do? We kill them with kindness. So we go plus 5. Whatever happens on one side of the equal sign happens on the other side of the equal sign. So now negative 5 plus 5 gives me 0. We cancel them completely out of our lives. But on the other side, we have 22 plus 5. So 22 plus 5, that gives me 27. Bring down the equal sign as well as your 3x. So now that you have your 3x, so 27 equals to 3x, all of a sudden, here comes your boo. Want to act up. Want to do some trifling stuff right in front of you and your friends, right? So guess what? 3x, that's multiplication. Y'all were ready to multiply, ready to grow. Then they messed up. Guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to divide them out of our lives, right? They're like, oh, I never learned math like this before, but it's working. So we have 3 times x. We need to divide them out of our lives. So I'm dividing the 3 on both sides. So with us dividing the 3 on both sides, 3 divided by 3, that gives me 1. But I still have the x, so I can bring down my x. You can make it 1x or you can make it x. But on the left-hand side, we have 27 divided by 3. So let's think. How many 27s or how many 3s can go into 27? Now, if you don't have this on the top of your head, I have something in my notebook which can kind of help us out. So I have a factor sheet. So if I look up factors of 27, so here we are with 27. I think you guys can see it. Let me raise it up a little bit. So with 27, we have factors of 1 and 27, 3 and 9. So this is how you can do this. I have 27 divided by 3. That will give me the answer, which is that factor right next to it, which is a 9. It can work the other way. I can say 27 divided by 9 will give me my 3. Okay, I can say 27 divided by 27 will give me my 1. So either way, I like to use this factor sheet because our kids don't know how to use the multiplication chart. They don't do it anymore, right? It's all kinds of cray-cray. So we go back to our problem, which I'm hoping I can find. Because it's all kinds of crazy. So here we are with, 27 divided by 3. That gives me my answer of 9. So what you found was 9 was the missing piece to make our equation equal 0. All right, so if I wanted to, 3 times 9 gives me 27, minus 5 gives me 22. Although x is on the right-hand side, guess what? It doesn't matter, okay? Let's alleviate some of that stress, all right, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. So who knew that going to the club and relationships can help you solve math problems? I did. And this is what makes me a fun teacher and tutor, because sometimes I'd like to do these things because I tutored students from 7th grade all the way up to adults. So that is two-step equations. So of course we're going to step up our game a little bit to multi-step equations. And you're probably like, uh-oh, I was good. Now I'm not sure anymore. Well, pause. It's okay. I'm here to break it down. All right, so let's work on this example number 5. So for multi-step equations, it can be seen one of two ways. So let me do this one. So we have 13b is equal to 6b plus 14. All right, so we have our equal sign. We're going to drop that right down the middle. And now we're going to figure out what's different. Compared to all the other ones, we only had one x. All right? Now we're in this tricky situation. We got two boo things. All right? So we have 13b on one side, and we have 6b on the other side. So just like everything else, we can't be messy, people. We need to stop being messy. We need to bring everything together. Let's bring it all into one household. But you're probably saying there is an equal sign in the way. So just like we said with the inverses, this is a positive 6b. So I need to bring my 6b over. The reason why I'm bringing this over is because I still have a plus 14 kind of hanging out. So I want to do the opposite of 6b, which is minus 6b. Whatever I do on one side, I do the other. You finally decided, look, I can't have too many people in my relationship. Let's kind of narrow it all down to 1b. So now we still have the b, but what is 13 minus 6? Well, if we do 13 minus 6, we know 6 and 6 is 12. One more will give me 7. So we have 7b equals that remaining 14. That just comes down because those 6b's canceled out. So our goal, no matter what, is we want to get b by itself. Yes, you finally decided, look, I can't have too many people in my relationships. This is the one relationship. This is the woman or the man I want to be with, right? But now that person messed up. Now you got to divide them out of your life because you're like, look, I need my peace. I can't do this. So you divide them out your life. So 7 divided by 7 gives me 1, or just b. Now 14 divided by 7, that gives me 2. So you actually did multi-steps because 1, we had to bring the b to one side of the equal sign. You can't have b's all over the place. Think about life. You can't have all these relationships everywhere. Bring it all together, right? Hey, Cindy. So you put all your b's on one side. Then once you did that, you combined everything. After you did that, you wanted to isolate your variable by dividing the 7 on both sides, which gave you your b, which equals 2. So this is a multi-step equation. You had to do a couple of things in order to get your variable by itself. All right? So you're doing pretty good. Oops. Let me go like that. and go like that. All right. So let's try another one. Very similar. And then I'm going to show you one more, maybe two, and then we'll be all set. Okay, I love the lives. Keep it up. Not a problem. Thank you so much. I know, especially with my crazy self. All right, so now let's try this one. Let's say x plus 4x equals 2x minus 15. Ooh, you guys have been very busy, all right? Very busy. There's multiple x's here. And you're probably like, I don't think we can do this. We can, all right? So x, remember, if there is not a number in front, it's assumed to be a 1. But if I keep this, we had a club, we got our limits. Now we have 1x plus 4x, okay? Negative 5, sorry, okay? So negative 5 as your final answer, is that what you're thinking? You're saying sorry. Don't apologize. So we have x's are on the same side of the equal sign. So we can combine those to 5x. So I'm going to bring down my 2x minus 15. Yes, okay. So now I got my x's on both sides of the equal sign. Remember what we said earlier with the b's? We can't have two relationships going on. One inside the club, one outside the club. You're going to have to make a decision. So the way we make a decision is we are going to move this 2x to the other side. So we're going to subtract 2x on both sides. So now 2x minus 2x, they cancel out. But we're bringing down not a 15, but a negative 15. This minus sign that's in front of that 15 is coming with the 15. Oops. Say hi. All right, so equals 5x minus 2x, that gives me 3x. So again, we want to isolate our variable. We want x to be by itself. 3 was messing up. We got to divide them out. So in order for us to divide them out, divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 will give me 1x, or just x. And then negative 15 divided by 3. When the signs are different, my answer is always going to be negative. 15 divided by 3 gives me 5. So Cam was correct. Our answer is going to be negative 5. All right? So we're slowly growing. But this is the way you think about it. A lot of times, if you notice, everything is not all over the place. We're actually narrowing things down. It almost looks like a funnel. So like if I have my 2 pencils, notice how it kind of narrows down into your final answer, right? You don't have things all the way over here and all the way over there. We try to bring everything down towards the center so we can see things a little bit clearer. I know some people like to have it all in one line. Hey, knock yourselves out. All right? So let me try one more because today is a crazy day. And then I'm going to show a couple of word problems, like one more that's going to be a little more of mixed numbers. That is going to challenge us a bit. So let me do example number 7. And then we're going to do this. So 3 times 5c minus 4 equals 8c plus 2. You're probably like, girl, you lost your mind. No, I didn't officially lose my mind. But This is a multi-step equation. The reason why, let me raise her up a bit. The reason why, now we got a parenthesis. We didn't have a parenthesis before. Okay, it was like straight lived. This one, we just had multiple x's, but we're going to do the same exact thing. So don't be afraid. I know people are like dropping out left and right. They're like, nope, I was good with you. Now I'm gone. No, bring your butt back in here. All right. So anytime you see a parenthesis, the first thing I like to do is let me see if I can get rid of that parenthesis. Parentheses means multiplication. And I want to distribute everything. So it's almost like I have a pack of gum, right? And if I have a pack of gum, I want to make sure that all my friends is getting a pack of gum. Because how would you like if someone had candy that person gave to everyone except for you? How would you feel? Exactly. You will feel some type of way. So the same thing is happening here. All right. Hey, thanks for the follow. Hey, how you doing, Lynette? I know. I'm back again. I'm addicted. So now we have 3 times 5c. What's 3 times 5? Okay, so I'm going to do with the 15c. So now minus, and this is what gets every single solitary kid. Every kid that I ever had, they always say, okay, 3 times 5 gives me 15c, and they say minus 4. No. You forgot to give number 4 a piece of gum. Okay? You have to give gum to everybody. Got to share the wealth. So that means I have to multiply 3 times 4. That's where this 12 comes from. And then I'm going to bring down my equals 8c plus 2. Okay, so we got rid of that distribution. When you distribute, you multiply. So now, after you do that, just like what we did with the other ones, we want to get our variables on one side, just like how we did for number 5. Okay, we subtracted the 6b's to come over to the 13b. You can do the same thing here. Okay, so if I think about it, remember, it's almost like a club. Okay, there's a wall. All right, 15c is like, look, you need to make a decision. So that means this 8c, it's positive. The opposite of positive is negative. So I'm going to subtract 8c on both sides. So 8c minus 8c cancels out, gives me 0, which I can write down the 2 that's left, the equals, the negative 12, and then I have to do my subtraction of my 15 minus 8. So 15 minus 8 will give me my 7c. Okay, so you're doing it. All right, so you made a decision. Your C is going to be here. This is you and your boo. You made a decision. You didn't have so many people you're dating, then finally you got to that one person. But then here comes negative 12, trying to mess things up. All right, trying to mess up that relationship. So what do we have to do? We have to do the opposite to get this person away from us. All right, life lesson. So since it's a minus 12, we do the opposite. Kill them with kindness. Chase them away. So negative 12 plus 12. So now that we killed them with kindness, the 12 is no longer nowhere near our relationship. So we're bringing down the 7c. We're bringing down the equal sign. So let them have some positivity with someone else, right? So 12 plus 2, that gives me 14. Now, we got 7c equals 14. Oh, your boo is messing up. Got to get him out. When the 7c, you multiply. So the opposite, you got to divide them out your life. Bye. Bye, Felicia. So once we divide, 7 divided by 7 will give me 1. It gives me 1C. I'm going to write underneath my copyright, which I have no idea why I put that there, but I do. All right. So now you got 14 divided by 7. So 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. If you're not sure, that's why we got the factor sheet. So that means we go here to the factor sheet. We are looking up 14. 14 is right here. Factors of 14 is 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. So we're trying to see what 14 divided by 7 is. So what's 14 divided by 7? That gives me 2. So my answer is 2. So 2 is going to be the solution that helps make the original equation be true. All right. So that was a multi-step. And yes, it was a lot. It was a lot. But at the same time, if you take it step by step and really try to understand why you're doing this and understand that you have to use the inverses in order to isolate your variable, that's more than 70% of the problem of any problem that I give you. So if I gave you like a sheet of all these problems, you're going to be doing the same exact steps no matter what the situation lies. All right. So I do have time for one word problem. So let's see if we can do this one word problem. So I'm going to push this over here. I'm going to actually binder clip so I can keep it still. And this is the traditional way of cut and paste. So we have our word problem. I'm going to just tape it right inside just so I can have it. And this is what kids can do when they get any kind of worksheets that their teachers need for them to have. I just have them put it on the opposite side where the other grid. That's why we have this space. We have this space if you want to do extra problems. We have this space for that. All right, so let me zoom in just to here if I can. Yep, there we go. Oh, not that one. Here we go. All right, so 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. So how many students were in each bus? All right, so before we can do anything, my first step is to make a key. And you're probably like, make a key? I'm like, yes. So you want to know what's going to represent the students, what's going to represent the bus, and what's going to represent the cars. So I would like to use B is going to represent the buses. Okay. And then you have 7 that's in cars. So we're saying 6 buses were filled. All right. So we're saying 7 students traveled in cars. All right. So how many students were in each bus? But do we know how many? So if there were 6 buses, and then we have 7 students, I'm probably doing way too much with this. Some people will do it like this. And then you have 331. I'm thinking it as a linear. Hey, Captain, fun with math. I know, right? But we're kind of thinking about this. And I think I'm doing a little too much with this, to be honest with you. So I know 7 students traveled in the cars, right? There was 331 students. So we don't need another variable. We don't. Because they said 7 students traveled in cars. They didn't say there were 7 cars. They said a total of 7 students traveled in that. So if there was 331, and we know that there were 6 buses that were filled, couldn't I subtract both sides by 7. I'm seeing things flashing around. Right? Couldn't we say, all right, well, let's use our head. So we have, is that my girl Dominique? We have 331 students. Let's take 7 of them that already traveled in cars, right? So 331 minus 7, that gives me 324. But there was 6 buses. So how am I going to know how many students are in each of those buses? I'm about to cry. Don't cry. Are you about to cry because you're starting to understand it? Or are you about to cry because it's math and you're getting traumatized? There is no traumatization going on in here. We just have to think for a second. Sometimes we try to get so caught up with like setting up equations and stuff that we're like about to lose our sign. So Tink, no crying, all right? There's 331 students. 7 of them were in a car. So let's subtract those 7. So now we have 324 students that are on these buses. Now, if it was an individual, I'm overthinking. Yes, right? I was starting off with the overthink. It's math and I'm traumatized. Tink, breathe, baby. Breathe. Because if we're trying to figure out how many people, if there's 6 buses, this is multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Remember, that's you and your boo. If your boo is messing up and you can't replace it, boom, divide them out your life. So that means 6 divided by 6. That gives me 1B or just B. So now, what's 324 divided by 6? So if I break it down with the old-fashioned, we got 6 and we have 324. How many division? Yes, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. How many 6s can go into 32? And if we're not sure, guess what? We got something to help us out. Let me slide this over. So we're looking at 32. Okay? We're looking at 32. How many 6s can get us close to 32? Well, I don't see an even amount. But if I go up to 30, because if I go down, that's too much, because we don't want to go past 32. But if I go up to 30, because I can't do 31, 31's prime. But if I go up to 30, how many 6s, groups of 6s, will give me 30? Oh, okay. Yes, good. All right, Lindsay, I see you, girl. Right? So you got 5. So if I do 5 here, that will give me 30. If I subtract 32 minus 30, will give me 2 and bring down that 4, gives me 24. So then how many 6s can get me into 24? All right, so if we're not sure, let me go to 24. Oops. So 24 divided by 6 will give me that 4. So boom, that's a whole 24. And now I don't have anything left over. Right? So that means 324 divided by 6 gives me 54. Now, I don't know about you. They're saying that there's 54 what? 54 students. That's on each of those 6 buses. Thank you so much for the love. See, Tank? I see you with the 4 going up there. All right? So, no crying. There's no crying in math anymore. And I know, like, if some of you guys have kids yourselves and you're looking at some of their math homework and you're like, what in the blessed is this? They're trying to do a lot of things really fast. They're trying to develop our kids for college really fast, but they have to understand we got to work on the foundation before we can build the whole mansion. right? We're all sitting here talking about put a pool in and we don't even have the structure or any kind of roof on our building. I'm going to need you as my tutor for my ASVAT. Oh, definitely. I got you because I actually am doing a lot of tutoring for ASVAT lately, especially around this time of year. It's like I can't do long division, but pre-calculus algebra literally made me cry in math lab last week. I am so sorry, okay? But pre-calculus, it is all this is that foundation. We're building all those things up. But if we had someone that it's hard, especially when the college level, because when you get into the college level, it's like you just learned 4 things in the one night. And you're like, can I breathe? Can my brain just help a moment, right? So I did great with everything else. It was the math that tripped me up. Yes. And it'll be nice to have, oh, what's going on? Okay, it'll be nice to have someone to kind of break down these concepts so you're not completely overwhelmed, okay? We're so used to just jamming a lot of information in there, all right? So, do you think we can handle one more word problem? You want to try it? Because I do have to go soon. Now, if you're here, if you don't mind, if you can tap the screen, I will greatly appreciate it. If you want to follow me, please follow me. I am going live like a crazy woman because I'm addicted to it now, right? So I want to kind of do this math problem. Go ahead and tap the screen if you want to follow me for more. If you do need assistance for your ASVAT, or also if you're thinking about getting your GED, or if you're going into a college and you have to do your AccuPlacer, because guess what? The AccuPlacer is only certain topics you can use a calculator, but they have to give you the electronic calculator. So there's going to be a lot of mental math that has to take place, all right? So let me know. My instructor already goes too fast. Exactly. And now we have a snow day today, so he's going to go twice. Exactly. You think that, oh, you got a breather. And now it's like warp speed. Like, no, that's not it. Like, let me breathe. Let me kind of get my process in. But again, Lindsay, if you need some assistance and if you just need someone to translate what your teacher is saying, go ahead and DM me. Go ahead and message me. I know I have a couple of students today, but I can easily fit somebody in. All right, so here we go. You bought a magazine for $5 and 4 erasers. Only in math, people have weird combinations like that. Who is buying 4 erasers? But anyway, I digress. All right, you spent a total of $25. So how much did each eraser cost? So my unknown variable is always in the question. I always say when people do these things, look at the question. So my eraser is going to be my X. I don't want to use the word E or the letter E because actually E is a number. I know. It's algebra. E and I's should never be variables because they actually represent numbers. So I'm going to say X is going to represent my eraser. So now, let me raise up a little bit. We have a magazine, it costs $5. And 4 erasers, okay? So plus 4. We don't know how much those erasers cost because that's what we're looking for. But yet, you spent a total of $25. This is how we pull it out, okay? Magazine, $5. 4 erasers, didn't have a price, so that's what we're looking for. You spent a total of $25. Anytime they say the word total of, that means equals. So now we can say 5 plus 4 times x, or you can put it as 5 plus 4x equals 25. Okay? So I have cinnamon girls that's saying $5. Let's see. All right. So we want to isolate our variable. So that's our 4x. You and your boo. I always like to say the club. All right. So we have our equal sign, which is that barrier. So here comes 5. Yeah, 5's bringing all the positivity, but they're trying to interrupt between you and your boo. So that means we have to be a little negative, not too aggressive, just like, you can move on now because this is what we're doing. So you want to do the opposite. You're not looking at the plus sign. That plus sign is attached to the 4x. Okay? You got to take 5 on both sides. Thank you, Spicy. All right, so 5 minus 5, they cancel out. Give me my 4x. Bring in my equals. Now 25 minus 5, that gives me my 20. But here we are with 4x is equal to 20. Guess what? Boo thing was acting up. Now we got to divide that person out of our lives. Can't do it. We tried. We went to therapy, did all those things. Just got to get that person out of my life so now I can get my life back. So now we have x is equal to 20 divided by 4. So now Cinnamon Girl, I think that's who it is. Cinnamon Girl said 20 divided by 4 was my 5. So let's up them hearts. Oh, thanks, Ting. She's teaching that real math. Exactly. Problem in the life. Yup, you messed up. Got to get out of my life. Can't do it. I got to be by myself. So we got 20 divided by 4. That gives me x is equal to 5. So that means the reason why you're doing all this solving, that means we have 5 what? 5 erasers. Sometimes we have so much fun, we forget what we were looking for. We're just like, look, let me isolate my variable. So then we have 5 erasers. So the reason why you were doing this, you were trying to figure out what was going to be the number that's going to make this equation into a true statement. Okay, that's the main reason why we were doing that. So by narrowing and bringing everything down to a point, we want to isolate our variable. We want our independence. Yep, so each eraser costs $5. Exactly. No, yeah. Isn't that crazy? For an eraser, but the magazine was $5. What kind of eraser was this? But anyway, again, didn't write the problem, but used it to our advantage, right? So I know, right? Everybody's like cracking up like $5. I mean, I know everything's going up, but hey, why not $5 for a eraser? You better hit that $1.25 store, but we'll talk about that later. I don't know why the 25 cents. I mean, really, just stop. Just stop. Okay. But this is how you do 2-step equations and then the multi-step equation, if I may flip over. This is what we were working on earlier. Multi-step equations, breaking things down, okay? Do not forget about our please excuse our dear Aunt Sally, okay? Do not forget your process of elimination, your process of operations. So if you do, this is a notebook that I actually designed. Let me see if I can shrink that bad boy down. So I actually designed this. I'm thinking like during the session, I was feeling pretty good with it. For all you guys coming in, having 15 people in here. Oh, joy, joy. This is the most people I've had. Look at you guys making me all happy. All right. Thank you so much for the follows, everyone. Hey, Bernie, thank you for the follow. So I designed this math notebook. Yes. So I'm using this because the reason why I really got sick and tired of my students either when they did show me their notebooks. I had one gentleman, let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, I had one gentleman that showed me his notes and it looked like this. Okay, perfectly fine. But then I asked him, what does your notes say? And he could not come up with an answer. He couldn't come up with an answer at all. So this is what's happening in the classrooms. I know that things are fast, just as that one young lady mentioned, says, do you have any tips to brush up on multiplication? Sometimes you lose it when you don't use it. True. Best thing for you to do, Tink, flashcards. Okay. Hey, Bernie. Flashcards will help you out. So if I had, even if you don't have to, ooh, things are all happening. I gotta link up. There we go. All right. All right. So even if you use regular piece of paper and you cut it into four, just like the copy paper, have one side be the problems, like 5 times 2, and then the other side will be the answer, which is 10. You make yourselves, even if you go to, I know we don't like that W word, but if you can go somewhere relatively cheap to get some index cards, hit the dollar store or whatever, and get some index cards, one side, do the multiplication, flip on the other side, give the answer, and just go through the cards. Like even just create like a times table a day. You can go from 1, I would prefer you go from 1 to 15 because most students understand up to 1 to 12. So we need to kind of go up to 1 to 15 by you creating the cards. Don't buy them, create it. When you create the cards, then you have a better understanding, okay? Not a problem. So with the students nowadays, they're either given packets or they're asked to copy stuff down. But this is what happens. When they copy things down, they write and they stop, they look up at the board. Then they write some more, they stop, they look up at the board. But then they don't know what they just wrote down. There's not a time that they can actually sit and process what they just wrote down. It's not like the teacher is saying, okay, write this down, pause. Let me explain what you just wrote down. Not too many people do that. They're just told to copy it. The teacher is talking, flipping through. And I know some kids, including myself, takes me a little time to write down because I want to write and understand. And then all of a sudden, before I know it, they moved on. And then I'm like, what did it say? And then you're trying to find out how to find information and to pull information, and then it gets crazy. So when their notes are all kinds of crazy and they don't understand what they just wrote down, then all of a sudden it's time for them to take a quiz and they have no idea what's going on. So I decided to design a notebook, which one, you can have formulas on one side. You can have the steps. Like after I do a drill like this, I would ask the students, like, what will the steps be? And we'll actually design the steps, write the steps down. They have examples of those problems here. And then on this side, just like how we did with the word problems, you can do extra work over here. So with that, I like to do with the dot grids, because if you take a look, you can do graphing. Okay, you can do solving, you can do graphing linear equations. We can do things with geometry. So the area of the sectors, have those examples as well. Also have the remote interior angles, and I'm dealing that with my geometry kids as well. So all this can be on their books. So when it's time for them to take a quiz, it's not like, or sometimes teachers might actually give them a moment for them to say, all right, we're going to do an open notes quiz. Now they can go, boom, straight to the formula. They don't have to try to search to find everything. Everything is right there for them. Just as well as my factor sheet that we're working on. It goes from 1 to 100 on the left side, and then 101 to 200 on the right-hand side. This, I designed it for students from 7th grade up to adults. So if you're taking all your classes, everything is right there. Are you selling these? Yes, I am. There are on Amazon. Thank you, Miss Audrey, for your help. I'm going for my GED soon. Yes, Regina or Rena, let me know when you need that assistance. I'm so proud of you because it is a huge step. Just the fact that you know you want to go back. I mean, really, it's a major step. So the word problems, most used words are also on here, okay? For addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, equals, inequalities. Students always get this part mixed up. Is more than is different from more than, okay? Is less than is different from less than. One's dealing with subtraction and one's dealing with inequalities. as well as your rules. Okay. As well as your rules for the integers with examples. Subtraction with examples, then multiplying and dividing. Then you have your order of operations, okay? I like to expand it out like this, which on my new book, I'm probably going to expand it that way. But then the properties of exponents. A lot of people here, raised to the 0 power, guess what? It's not 0, it's 1, okay? What's the link for the Amazon? If you go to my, almost had a brain fart. If you go to my website, ACG Math Tutoring, it's in the link in my bio. Yeah, I'm cheesy like that. I say link in my bio. And if you go to the books on the bottom left-hand corner, if you just click on it, it'll take you straight to the books. So unfortunately, you have to go to my website because every time I try to put links on here, it doesn't work. All right. So you say my daughter is a freshman in high school and she's having a really hard time with math. Please reach out. Yes, this will help her with organizing because I've been getting a lot of ninth graders and a lot of students going back to college. Okay, my son is working on this right now. Yes. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I had one lady came to me and she had something about like pasta, meatballs. I was like, what you doing? Like, what's a P for pasta? Like, who are you hungry? Are you hungry? Because I can help you out. All right. But we're not messing around with please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Right. So we're looking at the whole Pythagorean theorem. This is in geometry as well as in algebra 2. Same thing with the SOHCAHTOA, sine, cosine, and tangent. So now I'm doing more advanced stuff. Okay. And on top of that, the unit circle. If your child's going into algebra 2, they're going to see this quite often. Okay. So I kind of designed it for them. All right, my 15-year-old is taking college algebra. Would this help him? Yes, especially getting those notes organized and as well as having some of the resources for him on the tip. Yes, definitely. This will go all the way up to like pre-calculus, to be honest with you. Then I like to put in brain breaks because as you're doing math, you just need a moment. Right? Just anything. So I have some word searches. I have some mazes, a Sudoku just to kind of help them out. Color me. So basically you can just zone out for a second. Let me just color in a little section any which way that you want to. Then on top of it, if you have kids that are into pixel art, and they want to do some kind of decorative stuff or do some sketching, there is a place for them as well. Because sometimes we just want to zone out for 5 seconds, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you're not zoning out during the instruction, that would be perfectly fine as well. All right. So for the most part, I'm going to have to get ready for my 2:15. So we're taking a look at, I had like the different polynomials. I will also be here again at 8:30 tonight, which I'm going to talk a little bit more with the polynomials. I tried to have like 2 different things just so people have a nice little variety. But if you have any questions, we can have this book is for 7th through adults. But then I have another one. Oh, he's in 6th grade. 12 years old, taking honors math. He's doing great. He's teaching me. That's awesome. Center time? No, I think you probably mean Central Time. Not Central Time. I'm on East Coast, so I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. But I have this book for 4th through 6th graders. So 4th through 6th graders, the idea is basically the same. So all my books in the very front page, I always have some words of encouragement, words of wisdom, because we need to get started on the right foot when we're dealing with math, right? Because we got to break that cultural I cannot do. Then you're going to get 100 pages of these. Do you sell physical copies? Yes, I do. And if you want the digital copies, they're also on my website as well. So if you want the physical copies, if you go to my website on the bottom left, it will say paperback or books available on Amazon. You click on that link and it will take you directly to my Amazon store. Okay. I'm from Brooklyn, but y'all my peoples. All right. Yes, ma'am. I know, right? You gotta love it. I'm originally from Philadelphia, so hey, that's what I do, you know? But the reason why I have them as tiles is so when students write, they can actually write inside. So if I want to write 3,571 and say I want to subtract 251 or 53, let's change it up. If I want to subtract them, I can get them nice and aligned so they can have everything lined up. Because trust me, if you use regular notebooks, it's really designed for English. It's not designed for math. So anytime I have all of these, they can write the formulas that they need. They can write the steps, just like the other book. I have the mood tracker, which is great for homeschool and also for the classroom. So the teacher can get an idea of how the kids are feeling before the lesson, how they're feeling during the lesson, and how they're feeling after the lesson. So I try to keep it in with these tiles because everything is going along. So they can get everything all nice and lined up. So there's 100 pages of these. Of course, the 4x6 is a lot smaller, 4 to 6 year olds. But then I still give the resource of the factor sheets because we start with multiplying, I think, in 3rd grade. So this factor sheet will help them out tremendously. I'm definitely getting it for my 4th grader. Awesome. So then we have those other resources, but the fraction. What's the definition of a fraction? The numerator and denominator. Let's talk about the parts of it. Let's talk about the example of it and what does it physically look like. So then I give you a couple additional pages, which kind of helps with if you want to do things at home and you got M&Ms or you got Skittles and you just say, okay, I got 2 Skittles here out of 4. What is the fraction? So it's 2 out of 4. If I can reduce it, it will be 1 out of 2, which is 1/2. So you can actually have activities with this. I got in groups of 4s, 5s, 6s, 8s, and 12s. Okay, so all that's inside here, as well as doing that conversion. Okay, so from percent to decimal, fraction to decimal, percent to fractions. I actually talked to my elementary school teachers. I had talked to elementary school teachers in Maryland, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, and I really wanted to get a good idea of what is it that you guys need. So definitely need this. Awesome. It's like, this is so helpful. Love it. Is it the Blue Ultimate Math Notebook on Amazon? Yes. I have 3 different covers. So I just wanted to give some people some pizzazz. So you get to choose. As long as it's under my name, it's going to be the same information underneath. Okay. Just 3 different covers. For this one, we have the fractions operations with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. In the gist of that, place values. Notice it's in color. It's not in black and white. So it's easy for the kids to kind of gravitate what they need. And it gives you an example of how to read these numbers, how it's written out. Because if you notice, a lot of our kids will probably don't know how to write a check from scratch. Think about it. We're not teaching the verbiage like this anymore. Nope. No, we're not. So this is going to be something that we, or as you as parents, because I don't have any children, as parents are going to need in order to break all these concepts down. Okay. So then the other piece is decimal operations. What's it look like for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? Okay. Long division cannot go anywhere. Someone said something about long division. I can't do long division. Once they introduced this bad boy into the classrooms, long division went out the window. Okay? So, but guess what? They're going to see long division later on. especially if they get to college and they're going to be dividing polynomials. They're going to need this. They're going to need to know how to do long division. And then here's our simple process. You divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. I think it'll go dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. Some people might remember this. Of course, I'm showing my age. I'm 52 years old. So this is what happens, right? Then also estimating and rounding. So what's it mean to estimate? Remember, 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, leave it alone. This is going to be replacing that, okay? So 5 and more, let it soar. 4 and less, let it rest. Okay, so a lot of people are actually kind of gravitating more to this phrase, okay? All right, thank you so much for the follows. I really appreciate it, and the loves. I'm really trying to make this into something that's going to be helpful for our kids. So the conversion chart. There is always conversions. This can work, and I'm actually going to add this into my 7th through adults because there's more people that's doing conversions, like from years to days, minutes, volume. You got your weight mass, and then I used some abbreviations, so the key of it is right down below. And then order of operations, as we said before, just like in the other book. Just made it a little bit smaller. Area and perimeter. So you got the formulas for areas. You got the formulas for perimeter. And if you notice, there's like an E symbol. Let me raise it up for you for a sec. So there's like a little E. Okay? You're probably like, what is that E? That E is a Greek letter. That's sigma. Okay? That means summarization. So basically, you're adding, or you're doing the sum of the sides. So if I have a trapezoid, which I have right here. All right, let me see if I can slide that over. There we go. So I'm just adding up the sides. So if you're wondering, all right, how do I find the perimeter? You add up the sides, A, B, C, and D. Same thing is happening with the triangle. I still have that summarization symbol. So all you're doing is adding up the sides to find the perimeter of a triangle. So after that, we have the reference page, especially for my older kids when they start doing a little bit more with volume and they talk about surface area. These are the two most famous ones that they see in like 5th and 6th grade, okay? Some 4th graders, if they're advanced, they will see this as well, but it's always the surface area of the cube as well as the surface area of a rectangular prism, okay? These are the most used, but then you have all the other ones as your reference. So just like the other one, we have the operations exactly the same, but then I give you an example of how to write and to solve an equation. I give you a word problem. I give you a couple of steps and what those steps look like. So basically, you're taking what you got from over here and you're applying it to over here. So now you have an example. Now you have something to kind of refer to. So if they ever get lost, all they have to do is, well, we used to call it back in the day, Bob, back of book, right? Then you have your rules of integers and also your brain breaks, okay? Well, I am having way too much fun with this, but this is for grades 4 through 6. This is for grades 7th through adults. So all these are on Amazon. You can either look up my name, Audrey Codner, when you go into Amazon, and it will take you directly to my page. But I actually have to get going because I have to tutor. So thank you so much for coming in. I will be here again tonight at 8:30. If any of you guys have any questions, ASVAT, GED, AccuPlacer, or if you just need help with tutoring with your kids, or maybe you want to tutor your kids, but you want to get a little bit of translation of what they're doing, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm so glad I found your page. Have a good day. You too, AJ. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for following. I'll be back here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I will be working a little bit more with polynomials. All right. Have a lovely day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.